living in the Paris catacombs. Did you know that the remains of 6 million people are buried beneath Paris? The Holy Innocents Cemetery in Paris was built in the 12th century, but by the 1700s, it was full, and the country needed a place to bury its dead. The bodies were exhumed and moved to the old mining tunnels underneath Paris. The catacombs are 200 miles of old tunnels that Paris was built on top of. Eventually, the bones were organized into elaborate structures and decorative features inside the tunnels. However, many people say that you can hear voices echoing about the tunnels at night. But what's more interesting is that the police stumbled upon a full cinema and bar inside the catacombs, and when they came back the next day, everything had vanished. They only found a note left behind that read, "Do not try to find us." That is why many people wonder about.
Here are some of the most disturbing 911 calls. Part 3. A man named Greg Steinberg was riding his bike down a trail when he spotted a young girl lying on the side of the road. He approached her and noticed she was covered in blood and fighting to survive. He immediately called the police to report his finding. Here is a clip of that call.
So, are you with this 12-year-old female?
Yeah, she said she's having trouble breathing. She said she was stabbed multiple times.
Okay, so you see any active bleeding or blood spurting out or anything like that?
No, unless it's underneath her. I just see dried blood.
While Steinberg was with the girl, whose name was Peyton Leutner, she told him about the horrific crime that had taken place. She was originally supposed to have a sleepover with her 2 friends, Anissa Weir and Morgan Geyser. All of them were 12 years old at the time. The 2 girls lured Leutner into the woods of Davids Park, located in Waukesha, Wisconsin, where they pinned her to the ground and proceeded to stab her 19 times, one missing an artery connected to her heart by less than a millimeter. Luckily, Leutner survived and has since come out and talked about her experience publicly. She is currently 21 years old.
Menendez brothers. August 18th, 1989. 2 brothers, Eric and Lyle Menendez, shot their mother and father multiple times with a pair of 12-gauge shotguns. After murdering their parents, the 2 changed their clothes and took a trip to the movie theaters to go see Batman. Ironic. They then returned home, called the cops, and acted as though they had stumbled upon the dead bodies of their parents in their Beverly Hills home. Due to the lack of evidence, the 2 were completely disregarded as suspects of the case, until they started living lavishly using the insurance money they had collected following the deaths of their parents. They bought expensive watches, sports cars, and sat courtside at various sporting events such as the 1990 Knicks game as shown through their appearance on Mark Jackson's basketball card. The brothers spent nearly $700,000 up until the point where Eric confessed to his psychologist that the boys had in fact killed their parents, leading to their arrest and the case to be taken to trial. More in part 2. Menendez brothers. The case became a national sensation when it was broadcasted on live TV in 1993. The defense lawyer the brothers hired using their parents' money was good. Too good. Leslie Abramson, described as a legal pain in the ass, argued that the boys gunning down their mother and father was an act of self-defense in response to years of physical, psychological, and sexual torment.
Yes, I threw up almost every time when he would come in my mouth.
And your mother, Mr. Menendez, when you were in the bathroom throwing up because of what your father had done, did your mother ever come to you?
No. She taught me how to hide my tears.
What did you say to your mom?
I told her to tell Dad to leave me alone. And he keeps touching me.
The reception the boys received from the public was by no means empathetic. The brothers were mocked, with SNL even making a skit about the trials. More in part 3. The Menendez brothers. The trial ended with 2 deadlocked juries, causing the boys to be retried, but during the second trial, the judge didn't allow the boys to use the sexual abuse as a defense. Both brothers were convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, with both of them receiving life sentences and no possibility of parole. They then didn't see one another for 22 years. Until 2018, they were housed in the same unit, and when they met, they embraced and burst into tears. The child psychologist that works with the brothers claims that the boys are innocent and their father was in fact a monster. A cousin of the boys also states that he remembers Lyle telling him during his childhood that his father was doing things to him that no parent should ever do. Others believe, however, that the boys are simply using any excuse they can, given that they are actually held accountable for their crimes. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide the innocence of
what is going on inside this sinkhole. Scientists in China have found a giant sinkhole with an ancient forest growing inside of it. The sinkhole spans 192 meters deep and has trees that are 40 meters tall. It is also said that there are species that we have not even discovered living within the caves of the sinkhole. With all the evidence that's present, is it that hard to see how the Hollow Earth theory might be plausible? That's why many people are wondering